Mercedes F1 genius solution for comeback at Belgian Grand Prix. So we're going to be going through that in today's video. So don't forget to like this video, and if you want more Mercedes F1 content like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hitting that red button down below. Guys, 98% of you are still not subscribed, so it'd mean the world if you could subscribe to the channel. But let's get straight into the story. So the first thing I did want to talk about is FIA's rule change, a win for Mercedes, but for how long? So after the last couple of months of almost constant discussion about the issues surrounding the topics of porpoising and bouncing that has crept back into 2022 Formula 1 season, the FIA World Motorsport Council have finally pushed through their desired rule changes for the remainder of the season and the coming to 2023 championship. Although these changes continue to attract accusations of favoring the bigger race teams, with the changes now confirmed, this casino-produced analysis confirms that what we know, namely the edge of the car floors will be raised, as will the diffuser throat height, and floor edges will be stiffened to offset the bouncing issues the likes of Mercedes have been plagued with this year. So this really does offer a great solution for, the team of Mercedes, and will really help them in the long run, especially in the second half of the season, which I have no doubt will help. Now, given the split between drivers and race teams, with Ferrari and Red Bull strongly opposed to these changes, a compromise was reached on a 15mm floor raise, and the FIA is hoping to implement these changes in a way that should avoid any impact on these teams' designs of the mechanical components. However, given how late in the day these new regulations have come into play, naturally, smaller race teams feel they are now at a big disadvantage because they obviously have fewer resources, and an awful lot of work has gone into 2023 designs already, will almost have all teams already at an advanced stage of machinery. Speaking just ahead of the rule change, Alpine Chief Technical Officer Pat Fry explained one potential consequence moving forward. For us, it is engineering resource. We've clearly got a smaller aero department than the three above us, and the one we are fighting with, they're all bigger than us. Now, I do see where he is coming from with all this. Obviously, Mercedes, Ferrari, and also Red Bull are bigger teams, greater resources, greater money to actually spend. So I do see where Pat Fry is coming from. He continued to say, they might have 20 people parked outside the cost cap that were doing sailing or push bikes, but they can continually easily drag them back into a hit problem and then send them away again. So when you've got that level of extra capacity, they've got a huge advantage. Delaying the rules for them is great because they all know small teams are not going to be able to cope. As for the impact on F1 teams, Fry admitted it's a little bit challenging for us. The sooner for us to know, the better really, because if it's going to change, we're going to tear up what we're going to do already. I'm sure every team is running some numbers of weeks in the wind tunnel for next year's car concept anyway. We certainly are. But how much of that work we've actually done is going to get changed with the rule change? So I honestly do see where Pat Fry is coming from. Obviously, the bigger teams such as Ferrari, Red Bull, and Mercedes, they obviously need to be looked after because they're the ones that are actually bringing in the most money to F1. So I think, when it comes to the owners of F1, the people that make these changes, so the FIA, they're really looking to have the top three really compete at the top because that's where all the excitement is. Now, unfortunately, I don't completely agree with it, but that's obviously where the money is, and obviously it is a business move. So I do see it as well in that aspect that you got to keep those teams happy because they are the ones that are really bringing in the audience and bringing in the fans. Whilst Mercedes will certainly consider this a win for them, on a personal front, given the issues Lewis Hamilton and George Russell have had to deal with so far, Toto Wolff is keenly aware that it might change the dynamic between both drivers, as their common enemy at the moment is the car itself, not their own career paths. Fry actually continued saying, I think the biggest opponent for George and Lewis was the car, not the teammate or other drivers, and that was certainly advantageous in some respects. They used different solutions and set up, even a lot on some occasions, with the aim of exchanging impressions and useful information to come out of the situation we experience. When the objectives become races and championships, I'll be able to tell you whether the respect I see it today between the two will prove to be a predominant factor. We've been playing for the high stakes. I think it's natural to have some tension, but if people fundamentally respect and esteem each other, then it will never go too far, concluded Fry. Mercedes and both drivers will certainly be hoping to go further in 2023. Now these changes are in place starting at round 14 at the 2022 Belgian Grand Prix at the end of the month. So it is a very exciting time, guys. As you all know, it is coming up very soon. So, there's a lot to it in that sense. Now, another thing I did want to talk about was Russell spilling the beans on Mercedes Mercedes operations. So after several races for the Mercedes team, George Russell could now see the main difference between his former team Williams and the German manufacturer's team he joined at the beginning of 2022. The British driver George Russell began his Formula One career at Williams during one of the most difficult periods of the Grown-based team, which he suffered from a lack of performance and saw its finances plunged by the COVID-19 health crisis before owner Sir Frank Williams finally decided to sell the team before he died in 2021. Russell, who joined the 8-time Formula One world champion Mercedes team this year, immediately saw the difference between the family business that has Williams and the well-oiled machine that can be Mercedes team with its 2,000 plus employees. The spirit at Williams was immense. Everyone there was working so hard, they're so passionate, but throughout my time there, they were going through a rough time. George Russell explained on the Beyond the Grid podcast, in 2019, it wasn't a performance year, and it was survival year in 2020 when the COVID-19 pandemic hit. The team had to do everything they could to survive and stay afloat and not go bankrupt. They had to pay a heavy price within the company. Obviously now with the scale of the team and the buyout, it's really a team on the rise, but it takes time to fine-tune anything. At Mercedes, they've been so successful, Toto has been at the helm for so long, and the culture is ingrained in everyone here. It's a well-oiled machine that runs perfectly on all cylinders. I knew how great the team was and how talented everyone was, but it was a reminder when I joined the team and at the level at which they operate. It's really inspiring for me to see 2,000 people giving everything they can make fast race cars. Their priority racing, and they just want to win. It's pretty special. Now I do see where he's actually coming from with all this. Obviously going from a team like Williams, no disrespect for Williams, great team, but to go to someone like Mercedes where the standard is so much higher, you'll honestly feel the difference and it will honestly make you a better driver. And I can definitely see that with George Russell as well. He's getting more confidence, he's getting up there. He recently has been finishing very well, especially in his first season with Mercedes, and I honestly don't think this isn't the end of him. He's definitely going to improve from here. So there are a lot of key people here, particularly in the race team, who have been there since Honda days and have success at Braun Grand Prix in 2019, which we was referring to, and there's also a lot new fresh energy coming in and bringing great things to the team. It's very much like a family team, even though Williams was really a family business. The majority of people at Williams, when I was touring the factory and meeting for the first time, everyone I met had around 15, 20, 25 or 30. That seemed to be the case throughout the journey. So when it comes to all this, after the first 13 races of the 2022 season with Mercedes, George Russell has 5 podium finishes so far this season and secured his first F1 pole position at the Hungarian Grand Prix in late July. At the end of the summer break, the British driver is ahead of teammate Lewis Hamilton in Drivers' Championship, sitting in 4th place with 158 points to his teammates' 146. So honestly, George Russell has done such a great job, and I honestly think he is only going to get better from here, which is fantastic. Now, Lewis Hamilton also transformed for F1 return and saying he wasn't the same man he was. Lewis Hamilton has hailed a life-changing reset as he returned from his epic adventure through Africa to prepare for F1's resumption. The Mercedes driver has spent the F1 summer break traveling to Africa and believes he will return for the Belgian Grand Prix on August 26 to 28, better for the experience. These past 2 weeks have some of the best days of my entire life, he said. I'm not the same man I was before the trip. All the beauty, love and peacefulness I experienced has me feeling fully transformed. No amount of photos could capture how I'm feeling now, and I'm trying to say, just know where words fall short, emotions run deep. I connected with my roots and my history, and I feel my ancestors with me now stronger than I ever have before. So, it says to the people here, the nature of the wildlife, thank you. We welcome to each beautiful place we visited. So, obviously, he had a great trip, and I think it's honestly great to see these athletes take a break from F1. Obviously, guys, although it is such a great sport, and although you love it every single day, after a while, it starts to get, become mundane, and you need that little break to get you back on that motivation track. So, like he definitely said here, he's definitely a whole new man, and he can definitely approach the rest of the season in a different way. It really does open your eyes when you travel and all that. So I think it's great that, Lewis Hamilton actually did this. So this campaign, his Mercedes W13 has been riddled with porpoising problems, and the team won 7 drivers' championships in a row before Red Bull's Max Verstappen ended that streak in controversial fashion in Abu Dhabi and is already looking ahead on how can they bounce back in 2023. But Hamilton has been on the podium 5 races in a row before the summer break, leading to optimism that he could win a race in 2022 to perfectly tee himself himself up for a title challenge next year. Next season is the loss on Hamilton's current contract with Mercedes, which makes him F1's highest paid driver, although he has hinted that he could continue in 2024 and beyond. So it will be interesting to see how this all plays out. I honestly think he is only going to get a little bit better from here when it comes to the way he actually drives. You know, when you're young, you really drive aggressively and all that, but as time goes on, you gain more and more experience. So I think it's not over for Lewis Hamilton. He can definitely be able to win the championships, maybe not this season, but definitely in another season coming up. So hopefully he does stay there. Now this one's a bit of a funny one, but this one, it was Toto Wolff actually revealing how Man United studying them to prevent the Mercedes slump. So Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff has revealed he has studied English football team Manchester United in an attempt to stave off a major slump that they are actually going through. So he said, no sports team in any sport have ever won 8 consecutive world championship titles, and there are many reasons for that, and what is the core is the human. The human gets complacent. You are energized in the same way you were before. You are not maybe so ambitious. I often get the question, how hard is that? I had so many periods, so many episodes in my life that I would judge as difficult, and this is not the same scale. I don't think it's challenging in a way, but I've had much harder times in all my life, not particularly in Formula 1, but there's actually more within my comfort zone. So I do see where he's coming from. When you're at the top of the game for so long, you lose that hunger, you lose that motivation because you've been at the top and it just starts to get mundane. And obviously someone like Red Bull was able to take the win last season. Now obviously it is still a bit controversial whether they deserve the win or not. We're not going to get into that in today's video, but I did want to just make you known that I think Mercedes, they needed this season to be bad for them in order for them to come back even stronger. So let me know down in the comments what you think. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon. Peace.